if it works, and then count.
Hello and good evening.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, and welcome to the final Meet the Team featuring our latest member, Mick. Good evening, Mick. How are you?
Not bad, buddy.
Not. Oh, I sound a bit hoarse there, I'm afraid.
I'm
Not
all right.
literally, I hope. So anyway, to all the viewers in Facebook land and YouTube land that are watching us tonight, if you would like to put your comments into the bottom there, if you haven't already signed up to the StreamYard system, then please do so. Or if you're just coming up on our screens as Facebook user, if you need to ask a question or something, can you put your name afterwards? That way we know exactly who we are addressing afterwards, because it would make the whole thing a lot easier for us to go through all the questions and chat to you personally. So it's the final Meet the Team.
Oh, sadness is happening.
It's one of the last lives we're going to be doing. There may be the odd one or two lives before our return to continue season 2.
We are continuing.
Yes, so this is the last of the Meet the Team. So there may be a couple of odd live broadcasts that we do, but they are going to be documentary style broadcasts until the 8th of May, where we are returning live from Dunwich.
We are.
Very lovely
I can't
location.
wait. I haven't been to Dunwich. I want to go now.
It's a great location with lots of activity in various places. So it's hopefully will be a repeat of last time. So hopefully we will get things up and running again. So all's going really well at the moment. We've got a good evening to Amiga on YouTube. Good to see you again, Amiga. Nicola's back with us again. We have a hi all and showing support from Facebook user. Evening, Kevin. And we have Facebook. So interested to learn about you all and what you do or have done. So anyway, like we said, we better get on with this because we are short on time. Yep. The final Meet the Team with Mick, our newest member. So Mick, I'm going to start the grilling. So how long have you been interested in the paranormal?
Well, I actually really seriously got interested in it when I was about 14. When I overheard a conversation with Mum and a group of her friends when they came around for a cuppa like they do, and she started talking about the experiences Mum and Dad had when they first moved into their house, my childhood home on Ipswich Road.
Okay.
Probably answer 2 questions with this because me and my brother used to experience stuff as well. So it'll be, and it used to be things like when they first moved in, they redecorated, knocked a few rooms through, and then they started seeing things like standard stuff, put keys down on the table, go to get the keys, not there. Doors opening. One funny thing that Mum always cracks herself up when she talks about it is when my nan was there staying, she came running into Mum and Dad's bedroom one night, said there's someone downstairs, and they could hear someone walking along the hall. It came upstairs, started walking towards Mum and Dad's room, and Mum said there was Dad in his pants behind the door waiting to punch someone. The door opened, 2 steps came in, nothing. When I heard these stories, I asked Mum more, and she just went through all these stories and stuff. Like when I don't know if you've heard of this sort of thing before, But when they first moved in, they redecorated. And when they finished redecorating, they realised that they decorated the house mainly in red. And they never even thought of doing red. Red carpets, red curtains, all through the house. And when they talked to the neighbours, apparently the woman that used to live there, which was apparently who was haunting the place, always used to wear red. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know if that was a... So as a 14-year-old, I was like, this is awesome. And I started buying loads of books on it and really got into it. So,
Amazing.
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, and obviously there's a connection there that obviously what made them decide to paint, to redecorate with red.
Influence sort of thing, yeah.
I think if that was it down at I wonder what my real dad thought of when he decided to paint the place purple. It's...
It was the 70s.
my real dad decorated our house bright purple. I'm like, well, this is a new build house, so there's no way, unless there's something on the land itself, which was all farmland during the war. So there can't really be too much there. But I don't know what made him paint the place purple. Which is bizarre. I don't know. And it was a sick purple. It was really dark. It wasn't a light purple. It was a really dark purple. So would you say that connection would be like a paranormal experience, be one of your first, or
no, because
there's something else that would be?
Yeah, I could have, I answered two questions at the same time roughly, because when me and my brother were younger, before we heard all this, my brother used to come up to me and goes, I seen Nanny sit in the corner of the room last night. And I used to feel someone sitting on my bed. And I used to think it was a cat. So I'd go and swipe the cat away and there'd be nothing there. This is when we were like 9, 10 years old. So it all stemmed from there. Yeah. And I think we did mention it to Mum and Dad, but they just sort of fluffed it to one side. I don't think they wanted to tell us about it at such a young age, just in case we completely freaked out. Yeah. But when I heard the Mum and Dad talk, Mum talking to her friends, I was like, come on, tell me more. I'm well into this. So then you got to a stage when I wait for everyone to be asleep and I'd be creeping around the house with a torch at night, hoping to see. And then Dad would wake up and go, for God's sake, will you go back to bed? Then I think I'd jump out again, see me sitting in the kitchen with a torch like this.
And I think it's a thing that most people would do, actually, if they hear of the rumours that a place could have been haunted at one time or is still haunted, and you overhear those stories, it's like a morbid fascination, isn't it?
Yeah,
you automatically, I wonder if, and because you're in that location, you deliberately wait up until the early hours of the morning when everybody else is asleep, and then go for a wander around the house to see if you get anything. And I think probably more with teenage boys than with teenage girls. But I think with teenage boys, they would rather go into something like that deliberately to try and scare themselves completely out of their skin.
Oh yeah,
on purpose.
A single bit of creak, and I'll be jumping off the chair, going, "Oh my God, what was that?" And then, but that's what I used to do. So.
Yeah. Right. So Nicola Hurrell has asked, what was the first haunted location you went to?
Right. Well, my first one was with you at Harwich. Readout Fort, if you remember.
Yeah, good old Harwich.
Good old Harwich Readout Fort.
That was the first place I went to with you guys. I think you were with the other group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went TBP. But that was the first ever time I've been on an investigation, and it was brilliant, seeing Sam do the pendulum thing. And that was going round. It was just amazing. I loved it.
Sounding so professional there, Mike. The
pendulum thing.
You're not all that genned up on it, really. and then of course we had Ruffham.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Now Ruffham.
What is it?
That Ruffham is still high up on activity list, the things that we've had come through, and I'm returning there again in June as a guest by another team, and it is it's going to be so weird going back, knowing what I know from when we were filming there, to actually go back, and I'm going to be sort of, my ears are going to be wide open listening to what evidence they get to see if it corresponds with the things we've got. And I'm not going to say a word until that evening's over.
It's like when we were in the room at the top of the stairs, at the room direct with all the mannequins in, with there was the bridesmaid and we heard that female voice. I think it was Sam. You heard it as well?
Yeah, I heard that. It was actually Mark was downstairs in that weird loo thing. In the toilet, that weird, strange loo. And he said that he could hear it, and he said he heard it from down there, and then we heard it upstairs, and we were like, oh, okay, that's weird. It's like a sort of echo, sort of. I
heard this if it was inside the building. It wasn't. I didn't. Way I heard it was inside the building.
Yeah, and then we heard the horn as well, didn't we? Not long afterwards. That was freaking weird. That was really weird.
The droning of the planes.
Yeah, that was very strange. I don't understand where that horn came from, and we all heard it. So that was weird.
The planes.
We know there was that issue with that car that had crashed further down the road, and the police turned up to help sort them out. And
it took us, by the way, to get that. Like
two rather alleviated men walking down the road in the middle of the night. It's sort of,
we're like, God damn it!
But
just trying to film here,
it's
guys.
It's weird because you think a place like Ruthven Control Tower, being in an industrial estate or on the edge of an industrial estate, in the middle of the night, you wouldn't have had that much. And it's like with the Red Lion Hotel in Colchester, you know, we are the only team that have been able to successfully film there all through the night without having outside interference.
Yeah,
and
we had none.
Purely because of its location, right on the high street. But because of COVID regulations and being in the tier system, we were still able to film there. But the police walked down the high street at 10:30, 11:15, in a line, clearing everybody off the high street. They just pushed everybody off. So from then onwards, it was dead quiet. There was no sound there whatsoever from outside. And it was...
I was really gutted when you messaged me because I couldn't come along to that because I was at work.
Yeah, because that would have been your first one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
And I could have bloody walked that one.
There's going to be another time. Because we got that. We got that light anomaly there. That was amazing.
No, that was.
The one in the basement, that was just freaky. Yeah. Right, okay, so we have Facebook user. My first experience when I look back, although I was scared at the time, was I was about 8 or 9 and saw faces on my wall in the evenings. A lot of things like that, or something similar to that, can be classed as pareidolia, where you see images created out of other images. Very similar to seeing a face in leaves on branches, or making a rabbit out of cloud formations and things like that. It's weird how the human mind works, especially in the dark, because what the eyes can't see, the brain makes the difference. So your vision may see one thing, but it will miss certain parts out because your vision's not exactly 100% in the dark. So your brain fills in the blanks. And that's when your imagination takes over. It fills in those blanks to create something that your eyes will see. And then you'll go, oh my God, I can see a face in my wall. And then you can guarantee you turn the light back on and that face has disappeared. And that's because it's now got light again. And you can see what it is. So it's
coat during the day, but at night is a figure at the end of the day.
Yeah. Why most of the time ghosts haunt good people? Why don't they haunt bad people? Amiga, I bet you they do.
I bet you they do.
I don't think spirits are too bothered about who they haunt. And again,
you start talking about that, and the child's just like, no.
Help! My house is haunted. Sorry about that. That's Freddie. He's got some molar teeth coming through.
Oh, right, that makes sense.
Ouch. A little interesting. Hello from Fusology. Interested party with Fusology connections showing support. Thank you very much. Also, experienced paranormal investigator across many various locations through the UK and experienced many fascinating and unexplained phenomena. Top notch. Right. Nicola says, have you ever been hurt by a spirit?
No.
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 To put it blunt?
Yeah.
No.
I've heard things, I've felt things, but I've never seen anything or had any spirit touch me, which is one of the things I'm after, in a good way, of course.
You're like me. If you want
a
spirit,
that's why I'm there. I want to
that experience. You want it to touch it,
or whatever. Yeah.
And I'm quite happy the fact that I've had a mannequin dummy thrown at me. So that to me is, that's almost like shaking hands with one, I suppose, in a way.
Yeah. One of the main things I'm after is just to really experience seeing something.
In July at Harrods Redale, we might see if we can get that mannequin to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the first things I do when I go in there now. I go into them cells and I say hello to anything that's in there. And then I go and check to make sure that the mannequin in cell 2 has been disconnected from the wall.
Yeah, because I think we went into the cells at the end of the night, didn't we? Me, you, and I think Sam came along as well, and we were.
Yeah, I mean, when we were there last time, they tied him to the wall with chicken wire, didn't they? And I weren't too impressed with that, because I'm like, well, if you're going to do it, don't tie him to the wall. He'll end up just being the head flying towards you instead. So that's one of the first things I do now, is I go in there and sort of take off the chicken wire just in case, so I can get it to move. Now, do you know what? Amiga has just allowed me to plug something.
Hang on.
What is the scariest ghost story you know? Hang on, I got it wrong. Quick, Michael, hold it back up again. Lady J.
Lady J.
Do you reckon, Mike, be honest, is that one of the scariest ghost stories you know?
I haven't actually finished it yet. But out of the books I have read, I mean, when I first really started reading into it, I've had Jay Anson's Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
And they scared the poop out of me at the time. One of the main books I really enjoyed was This House is Haunted, which was about the Enfield poltergeist. And I really enjoyed that one. Which
apparently, according to a couple of people I know that live in that area, in fact, actually lived sort of semi-opposite that house. That house is now about as haunted as this vape. It is no longer haunted. Apparently, everywhere else around it is, but the Enfield house itself is not. There's been strange things going on in the property opposite, but the actual Enfield house itself is as flat as a pancake. Yeah, but the actual scariest story I ever read back in the day was the Amityville Horror, which came in 3 volumes. Yeah. The first one was about the haunting in the house, but so again, out of curiosity, Mike, you held up that book, Lady J. Oh, it's a bit of promotion for you. So who's the author by any chance? Well, it's this funny looking bugger. Who wrote it? Who's that guy? Oh my God! That is not a face for TV. No, he should grow. He is hideous. If you ever met him, that's why I hide my face. If you ever met that bloke in a dark alley, that'd be enough to scare the pants off of you. I mean, just the face is just. Oh, you want to punch it? What's his name? I might look him up. What's his name on the book? What's it say? Nah, that name rings a bell.
I wonder who that could be.
Sorry, that was a little plug there. Thank you, Mike. That was very nice of you. That was one of my books, oddly enough. Lady J. That's the second. You get straight into it on this one. It's really good. This the second of a series of Wayne Seaton presents Spooky Nori. We have Whistle from the Hills, which is the first book, Lady J, and my latest one, which is Cricket.
Cricket. I like cricket.
Not as in the sport cricket, as in the insect.
Insect cricket, yeah. Because I thought I'm going to read this book and it's going to be about people bowling a ball. And I was like, what? How does it go from that? And then I was like, oh no, it's about the actual insect, and it's actually quite freaking creepy, guys. Like, honestly, I was like, there I was thinking it's about and it's not that.
You say that though, you say because it's part of Wayne Seaton Presents Spooky Nori, and then cricket underneath. It could be where the ghost of W.G. Grace comes back and haunts the Oval.
That would be pretty. No, don't do it.
I've just given myself an idea now. I shouldn't have done that. I've got about 7. I've got about 7 in there at the moment, and they're not coming out in a hurry. So. Sorry, Amiga Nero. You actually got an answer from Mike, but we did a bit of a plug at the same time. Look, Facebook user, have you been to Brook Red Lion in Colchester at all? And we've already just answered that one. We did an episode there, which originally would have been Mick's first investigation with us. Unfortunately, Mick had to work that night, so he missed out on doing that one. So it's real shame. Hopefully we can go back there again in the future, because it was definitely an experience. But the problem is the Red Lion Hotel is a very awkward place to investigate, simply because most of our team is only really available Friday nights or Saturday nights, which coincidentally is the nights that all the nightclubs and pubs are open till late. So from the hours of probably 8 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning, it's nigh on impossible to get a proper investigation done there without hordes of people outside making lots of noises and disturbing the investigation. So we try our best, but that particular investigation, which is still on our Facebook group and on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah.
So if you want to view over that episode, you're more than welcome to. They are there available for you all to watch. And who knows, we may return.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on use of planchettes and Ouija boards? Would you advise caution, or do you use these freely? Also, one of my invos was at Bisham Abbey with Ian Lawman, who I found quite impressive throughout the investigation. Have any of you worked previously with him? Not Ian Lawman. I have a little bit of work experience with Derek Akora before he passed, bless him, and Brian Shepherd, very briefly. So what do you think about Ouija boards, Mike?
Personally, I think they're great. I really like I have used them in the past with people. Mum and Dad, actually, I used to use them with. I don't believe in the fear factor as much. I think you've mentioned it before. It's all very Hollywood has ruined the reputation of the Ouija board. When people ask me about it, I just say, just make sure you're with people who take it seriously and know what they're doing. Don't sort of about 10, 15 pints down the pub and then decide to a Ouija board. That could end up quite
and I'm half drunk. Yeah, no, don't do that.
A little bit.
No, you can imagine it. You got like 15 people. They've all had a skinful down the pub. They've all got their finger on the planchette, and no one can make sense of what it's saying. Because they're drunk and they don't, and they're all saying, "So is this ghost we're talking to? Is he drunk as well?" Because I can't understand what he's saying.
You're like, no, that's just because you can't see, mate. Like, you're too drunk.
But yeah, I mean, I quite like Ouija boards. Every opportunity I get, I like to jump on there. I think it's brilliant the way you just the way if you're not really touching the glass and it moves. I just think that's fantastic. But like I say, like both said, Hollywood is completely buggered that up for some
ostracized people. I think ostracized the Ouija board is probably the best way to define it. I think you know,
because like every time I've done a Ouija board, I've never really had a bad experience with one. And it just is. It's all about, you know, knowing what you're doing, not disrespecting the spirit on the other end of the Ouija board as well. Don't ever do that. Don't insult them. Don't tell them to do something that they don't want to do. You know, and basically coax them into doing things that they don't want to do as well. You just got to be respectful and mindful of what you're doing, because at the end of the day, spirits were people at one point. You know,
it's also a case of being wary of what's going on as the communication is going. If it starts messing you about, you will get warning signs. As soon as you get those warning signs, it's time to shut it down, because otherwise you can end up with problems that cause you issues trying to close it down later on. So
yeah, I think we had one of those, didn't we? Whereby it said it was a child, and then you tried to sort of say it was coming out and spelling things that a child couldn't, and you were like, a child wouldn't know that.
It was starting to mess about quite a lot, and the alarm bells started ringing. So it was a case of, we need to shut this down, and we need to shut it down quickly, because whatever it is, it's masquerading as a child, but it's coming out with things that a child wouldn't necessarily know or be able to spell certain words. And so when that happens, it's shutdown time. You come off the board, close it down properly, come off the board, come away, and either go into a different area or come into something completely different, because otherwise it just causes more issues. So do your parents know and approve of you and this the extracurricular activity you are partaking in?
Mum's not overly keen, I must admit. My dad is just constantly in denial about about what happened years ago. When he just goes, "I'll do, if you're interested in it, follow it." He likes the idea of the group and all that. Mum's not overly keen. She's like, "Oh, if you go hunting, you'll attract it and it'll come home with you." I'm like, "No, that doesn't happen."
No. You've got to really invite it if you want it to come home with you. You've got to really.
But like, my dad's neither here nor there. Because every time I talk to him about the experiences they had, he goes, "Oh, it weren't quite right, was it? I don't know what it was," and that's it. Bit weird.
Not like me with my mum. Then, as soon as she found out I had 6 Ouija boards in the boot of my car, she went absolutely crazy. She went ballistic at me because I was driving around with Ouija boards in the back of my car. "You're inviting trouble, you are." I'm like,
that's what Mum says. You're inviting trouble if you go out looking for it.
Like you said, Ouija boards are not what the actual object itself is not what causes the problems. The problems are actually yourselves. If you don't take it seriously, how are they going to know what to do with that? They're going to, start playing up, because you're allowing them to.
I think as well with my mum's case, it was the fact she didn't realise that I know exactly what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And I know how to open a board. I know how to close a board. I know how to use a board safely, along with all the other types of equipment or investigating methods out there. And because my mum doesn't really sort of take much interest in it, she sort of shielded herself away from the theories behind the investigation. And so she sort of gets suckered in by the Hollywood term of a Ouija board and thinks it's all bad. So she has to sort of
my mum won't even watch some horror films just in case it brings something into the house.
Well, she's probably seen Poltergeist.
Bad.
No, I think it was the Conjuring films. I said, "I'll watch these on." No, I don't want nothing in my. I've had it before. I don't want it again. Thank you very much.
Because I remember after the Poltergeist films, everybody was like, "Oh, don't you ever tune the station into a white noise station? Or I don't want that crackly stuff on my screen just in case something comes through."
It's just like the girl from The Ring just comes on. You know you've done something wrong.
I love Amiga's question here. That have scientists found evidence that ghosts exist? The answer is no.
No.
Nobody has actually found 100% pure evidence that spirits do exist. It's all, at the moment, it is still only theories and possible proof. But the problem is when someone takes a picture or takes video footage in this modern day and age where you've got CGI graphics and editing software and Photoshop and all these other wonderful gadgets that you can use to make it look as if there is a spirit there. It's very difficult. But if an investigator that goes out near enough twice a week for the last 20 years and only just produces videos of a strange occurrence or a strange sound or whatever, and everybody jumps on it on social media and goes, oh my God, that's really real, scientists would have more chance of proving it than a normal paranormal investigator, because they have the funds, they have the equipment at their disposal, hell of a lot more than any paranormal investigator put together, to be honest. So as far as I would say, my opinion is no, scientists have not been able to prove either way, and it's all just theories still, and that's why we go out and do what we do, because we want to try and prove these theories.
Yeah, agreed.
Following on your comments, as seen on numerous TV shows, would you avoid inciting a spirit to
elicit
get a response? To be honest, it's not a nice thing to do. You should always give spirit the respect it deserves, just as much as you would somebody that was alive, regardless of who they were. And I will go back to Harrods Redoubt Fort as an example, because there were 3 prison cells there that during World War II were used to house German pilots that had been shot down over east of Essex. And they were put in these cells while they were waiting to be transported to prisoner of war camps. And I have experienced people calling names, swearing at them and things like that. And I do not agree with that. I have a couple of times spoken in German saying Das Luftwaffe ist kaputt, which I'll stick by it. I will not say that is not inciting a spirit to cause something to happen. It was factual explaining to him that the German Air Force is no more.
Yeah.
Or meaning roughly the war is over. It's ended. But I have witnessed on numerous occasions people actually swearing at spirits, calling them names and things like that, and I disagree with it, because you could make a perfectly peaceful spirit angry, and it's something you don't want to do and you shouldn't do. Okay, Mick, Nicholas asked us a question for you. What is your favorite piece of equipment that you like to use?
Well, I do love using my little recorder to try and get EVPs. So I do love a good EVP. I got a few from EVP, got a few.
You do like electronic voice phenomena.
And I got a few from Rotham, which is one said wow, which I think was on the video.
Yeah.
I put that in there.
A couple of size, and also on one of the last recordings, I've got the droning themes that you were talking about when you saw me at work. You can actually back, and basically that's the only bit of equipment I've got, really, personally. I'll tell you,
that will change. That will change. You tend to find that the longer you do this sort of stuff, the more equipment you tend to pick up. I limit myself. I don't like using gadgets. I don't really like using apps, and I don't believe in apps, because as far as I'm concerned, apps do not provide proof. All they do is provide an income for the person that created it. You know, you got the only time I've used an app where I've had evidence of something odd happening was when last year or the year before we went over to Mersey Island? It was last year, wasn't it? Last summer, my birthday. We went over to Mersey Island to see if we could find the Roman centurion that's supposed to be seen walking over there. And we looked over towards the Blackwater estuary, and I took a photo, and the sky went on the picture. The sky was all purple. And I turned around and said, "Oh my God, look at the skies, different colour." And 5 separate apps were running at the same time. And they all said, within seconds of each other, they all said sky. Now, with an app that's got, say, 10,000 pre-programmed words in, it is almost impossible for all 5 apps all to say the same word at the same time. That to me was pretty freaky, and it was shortly after that we saw this car come down the hill and then just vanish in front of our eyes, which was completely mind blowing. To be honest,
that was weird. Couldn't explain that, could we? We were like, well, okay, so there was a car, and now the car's not gone. It's not gone. It's not there.
It hadn't gone past us, and it hadn't turned around and gone back out up the hill. So,
you know what was weird as well? We didn't really even hear anything. With it coming up towards us, it just parked in front of your car, didn't it? Yep. And it was there.
Turned its lights off, and that was
Turned its lights off. And then, a couple of minutes later, we didn't even see it go. It just wasn't there anymore. It into thin air. Really strange.
Okay. We have Ed and Lorraine Warren. Your thoughts? Genuine, or do you think they exploited the area of the paranormal? Come on, Mike. What's your opinion of Ed and Lorraine Warren?
I don't really know a lot about them, to be perfectly honest. I don't think the films have helped them. The reputation.
No, well, basically, Ed and Lorraine Warren were probably. I mean, you will hear more of them. The more you're into you work with us, you will hear of Ed and Lorraine Warren a lot more than you do. I mean, I'm friends with, I think it's the son or the nephew or something of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and a lot of the things they did were serious, and they were for a purpose. But I think the way TV shows and movies have portrayed them may have sort of portrayed them a bit of money grabbers. But in their time, they were providing a service that practically nobody else could provide or would provide. And Lorraine Warren were really the first mainstream people that would go out and help others that had issues of the paranormal kind. So it's, it's one of those things. They were sort of pushed into it a bit. What we got there? Joe says, and even if you did see something legit, proving it's another thing. Exactly, Joe. Facebook user, ban Yvette and Carl from any paranormal investigation forever.
That's a thing.
Oh, can I ask who it was that said that, please? Oh, that's funny.
Who was that?
It just comes up as Facebook user.
I think that may be Lisa, to be fair.
You ain't told Lisa who I used to work with, have you?
I did, yes.
Okay, that's all right then, Lisa. What we got else? I don't know if there's been but asked. What got you into the paranormal, Mick? I think Joe might have came on a little bit on the late side. But what got you into the paranormal?
Like I said, that was the conversations that I heard Mum have about my childhood home, about the noises and the things happening there, like the coming up the stairs, walking down the hall, and the door opening. There's my dad waiting behind to whack someone. Nothing. We also, me and my brother, used to experience stuff when we were much younger, and Mum and Dad used to brush it aside. And that's when I got into it. 14 was when Mum actually told us the stuff that used to happen. So that's what really got me into it.
Okay, so that's sort of yeah. That's answered that question again. But I think, like I said, that was probably because Joe came on a little bit later on. Is there any location that you would like to investigate that you haven't been to yet? Now, I normally ask this as a top 3 of locations you would like to go to.
I mean, I know a couple. There's like the Hellfire Caves I'd love to go to. No.
No. I've investigated there 4 times. I think Hellfire Caves is an experience, but I wouldn't go down the road of saying a paranormal experience so much. I think it's more the aesthetics of the place. It's how they've decorated it and how it makes you feel when you first walk in there. Because automatically you've got the fact that it's a cave. It's something, you know, it's an area underground. So that already sort of installs sort of part of the, I don't know. But then you hear the stories of things that go on in there or went on in there. And that adds to the mystery about the place. Yeah. And then when you actually walk through the door and you see these tunnels and it sort of builds it up a little bit more. So the stories and the actual look of the place install it. And like I say, I've been there 4 times already. And like a lot of these places that have hit the limelight, I don't personally think it's as haunted as it was made out to be. It's still an experience. Don't get me wrong. It's still an experience to go down there. But to me, it's like you've got to have your wits about you, because you will hear things that you will have to try and find answers to. And when I was right at the very bottom of the Hellfire Caves, there's a very cramped room full of mannequin dummies and a table with bowls of fruit and stuff on. It's set up like it was as a party in its day. And we're all in there and we're all being as quiet as anything. And all of a sudden you hear this knocking. So, of course, instinct straight away, torch on, look at people's feet to see if they're knocking the tables or the chairs or any of the mannequin dummies or anything else. But we kept hearing this tapping and we couldn't locate it. And we must have been going for about 5 or 10 minutes. And I turned my torch and I noticed this bowl was slowly filling up with water. And it turned out that it was water coming through the ceiling. And you could see where it was coming from because it had formed a stalactite from the ceiling. And it was water coming out of that stalactite and hitting the table and this metal bowl. And it was this metal bowl was slowly filling up with water where it had splashed in and droplets of water had gone in the bowl. And we'd spent the best part of 10 minutes trying to locate where this sound was coming from. So, but it's not just water, it's particles of the cave, even from the ceiling and from the walls dropping down. So there's so many things there that you have to analyse when you hear something there. And it doesn't help when it's been... how can I put it? When there's, the cat's got the other half. When you've got the location there and it's been advertised and it's like 30 people and you're all piling into this one little room, it ruins it. The Hellfire Caves is ideal if there's just 5 of you.
Yeah, I do like smaller groups, I must admit. Yeah,
smaller groups have always been ideal, especially with somewhere like Hellfire Caves. It's better to go with a smaller group rather than a larger group. But it's not a bad location. So what about your second choice?
Well, you're probably going to think I'm some kind of tunnel rat, but the old nuclear bunker.
Which one?
The one we were supposed to go to, but we didn't get round to it.
Kelvedon Hatch.
Kelvedon Hatch. Yeah, I'd really like to go there. I really
we will be doing something there. I'm quite sure in the future we will be doing something. It is a lovely place and I do like it there, especially when you have a toilet flushing that hasn't got no water in it.
Something about toilets these guys, something.
Yeah, we had the toilet last time, didn't we? And you're like, there's one in the bloody toilet, there's one in the cupboard.
No, in Kelvin and Hatch, I think it's the Med Centre. There's a toilet there, and it's got a pipe connected to it, but there's no water in it. And we were all in there, and we heard this toilet flush. Clearly hear it flushing. You could clearly hear the water coming down the pipe. And we looked at it and went, "That's not right." And they went, "Why not?" I said, "There's water coming down that pipe. What's above this room?" And they went, it's just normal floor space. It's where all the offices are." And I went, "So where's the water coming from? There's no water in this toilet bowl. So how come there's water coming through it?" And they went, "Oh, well, it must be from the cafe." I went, "We can't be, because the cafe is on the opposite end of the bunker. So unless they've got downpipes going from the cafe all the way along, straight along the floor, and then down in the Med Centre where this toilet is, and not allow any water to come up into this bowl, it's not impossible. It can't happen." Yet we clearly heard it flush, and we heard it flush more than 2 times.
Yeah, and another place is it the Toy Museum next to Castle Park?
Yes. Yeah. Holly trees.
Yes, yep.
Yes, I've spoken to a chap that works in there.
Security in there.
Yeah.
Austin. He said he didn't really like it in there very much.
I spoke to a guy, I think it was last year, I spoke to a guy that used to work in there, and he quit his job simply because of the ghost in the painting. Apparently there's one of the paintings in there has got the spirit of a little girl in there, and it likes to wander around the museum, and it likes to move things that have been set out, because they do little activities for children in there. And sometimes at the end of the day, some of the people that do the activities like to get stuff set out for the following day. And yet when they were coming in the following morning, they'd find that these items had been moved and put back in their original places, or been put away completely. And everybody would say, "We haven't touched it. It was when we left, that was where it was." And they're like, "Well, it's not there now. It's back in that place." And they're like, "Well, it's nothing to do with us." And this bloke actually quit his job because it freaked him out too much. So that's one place I'd like to go into, but the problem is because it's run, I think it's run by the same as the castle, and they can be quite strict, and I don't think they allow people to go in there. But it's always worth looking into. But castle itself is bloody expensive. Excuse my French.
Yeah, I remember you saying, a couple of grand.
All the castles are, though, to investigate.
Colchester Castle, the last time I investigated in there, which was 2.5, 3 years ago, it was £1,500 to do an investigation there, and £2,000 if you were filming.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's a hell of a lot. That's a hell of a lot of money to find if you're a team funding everything yourself. If I win the lottery,
I don't even have £2.
If I win the lottery, I will get us an investigation there every other month.
Could always do a sponsored shave.
No, I can't. I can't grow a beard in the first place. I'm bad enough just getting a bit down here. But I do like. I was thinking about growing that back, but I don't think the Royal Air Force will like me doing that, so I've got to be careful. Right. Amiga says, "Do ghosts travel?" It's difficult to answer that question because there are supposedly ghost ships, ghost planes. So I can only answer that as a yes, they can. I can't see any reason why they can't, because they can travel from this realm to their realm and back again, and they can walk. They can move through areas quite easily. So I would say they can travel. A lot of spirits that have got the freedom will move from one place to the other. I know for a fact that the spirit that is connected to me used to travel from the house that I first was confronted by her, and a house 2 doors down from me. She used to go to both houses. So I would go with the fact of saying yes, they can. Have you ever felt faint to the point of fainting and nauseous when sitting in seance? We know Ellen has. I almost passed out and have never lost consciousness in that way in my life previously. Felt nauseous and as of all the energy drained from me. Generally taken back and assumed it was spirit using my energy to communicate as the glass we were using was going ballistic. Yeah. A prime example on that one, I think that's Lisa again.
Yeah.
We did Harrods Readout for and for Ellen on 2 separate occasions at Harrods Readout for. The first time we had 6 people all of a sudden became nauseous and unwell. They had to be removed from the room, and no sooner had they got back to the hub and sat down with a cup of coffee, they started to feel better. And the same thing happened the following time we went back there. We went into this one particular room in there, and Ellen started to feel nauseous again. It affected her and 2 others, so they had to be removed from the room straight away. And we just said, you know, the second you feel it, come out straight away. We won't allow anybody to stay in there if that starts happening. But yeah, I would agree with that. It is basically the spirit drain your energy. And it can be quite it can be a little bit worrying to start feeling nauseous out of the blue like that and have to be withdrawn from the room to actually sort of gain your composure and get back to it again. But it is just basically the spirits using your energy so that it can try and do something. And basically that's what it's done. If it's made you nauseous in the process when previously you have felt fine, there is no reason why it can't. Hi Mick, what have I missed? Mandy, you have missed a fair bit. A fair bit. Yes. Did an unofficial investigation at Bury Pomeroy Castle, which was quite impressive and interesting. I do like castles. The seance question was Graham, Lisa's other half. Ah, okay.
Hi, Graham.
Good evening, Graham. So, your three locations. What about anywhere in the world? If you could go to at no cost to you, anywhere in the world, what would be your top 3 locations in the world?
Queen Mary.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have said Queen Mary, haven't we? Yeah.
That's another lottery win, that one.
Yeah.
We'd have to get in there quick as well because I think that's been sold.
Yeah,
oh,
I don't
really?
know. Oh, right. So I don't know if there's actually been anything reported there, but I would quite like to do Alcatraz.
Yeah, we said about this the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
I couldn't do Alcatraz because if anything goes wrong, you can't get off. It's a long swim.
That is what Mick is planning for us. He doesn't want us to leave.
We're not going anywhere, buddy. Yeah, that's another place.
Yeah.
Trying to think, really.
I've always been intrigued by the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, what, the Shining?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see whether it's, obviously the likes of Ghost Adventurers have been there, and I'm not going to swear, but them have been there. And of course, obviously there was the movies as well. So I would like to go there just to find out if it's as haunted as all these big people have been saying it is.
Yeah.
In a sense, I'd like to prove them wrong, because I don't think it is. It's because obviously Stephen King had sort of heightened the fact that it was haunted. It's to a case of what extent, which is very similar to 30 East Drive and When the Lights Went Out.
Oh, yeah, 30 East Drive, yeah.
Yeah, same situation as far as I'm concerned, I reckon. How do you feel about the Isle of Wight? Haunting's my favourite place, by the way. Do you know what? Isle of Wight, I've heard of a few places on the Isle of Wight, but I would rather go to somewhere like Jersey or Guernsey, the military installations there, because I've heard some really sort of knee shaky stories about some of the areas on Jersey and Guernsey.
So like the underground hospital, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to go there. Not so much the Isle of Wight. I don't know. I think, I don't even see the enjoyment in going to the Isle of Wight for the for a holiday, let alone going there and investigating. I've never been to the Isle of Wight. It doesn't really appeal to me. So, yeah. Dracula Castle. Is Dracula's Castle on your list?
Who doesn't want to go there? Yeah. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, like we're going to go do a paranormal investigation at Dracula's house now.
Yeah.
If I could buy it, then that would be the only reason why I'd go there. To be honest.
I've always wanted to go there just as a visit, not necessarily for an investigation.
And it would be the same with I'm not too sure whether that's Graham or Lisa said about Auschwitz. I would never ever investigate at Auschwitz. Go there and pay my respects, yes, but never investigate. I wouldn't even. I can't even think about investigating it. That's not the place to investigate.
Yeah, Auschwitz is not a place where I would even think of going to do something like that, because it's a bit disrespectful, isn't it? Really, to the people there and the spirits there.
And the second part of that was Borley Rectory. Borley Rectory again. You can't get in there anymore. It's being redeveloped. It's all being closed off. That's only just down the road from me and Mick.
Yeah, I've been
and it's obviously it had a few fires. It got pulled down, I think, in 1954 or something like that. Because of the stories of what happened at Borley Rectory, it kept getting a following. And eventually it built up, and the people of that area got fed up with it. And every Halloween they started putting fences around it and having security guards there. And in the end, permission was given for it to be sold off so it could be redeveloped. And I think that is the current condition of the area, is that it's going to be.
When I went up there once, we did talk to some of the residents, and she was saying that Nuns Walk in Borley Rectory. I think it was Nuns Walk. They actually went through her kid's bedroom, and she was saying for you to see this figure go through her bedroom, his bedroom.
Yeah, I mean the old rumor was, when I used to go up there, the old rumor was if you walked backwards around where the old house used to be 3 times, the nun would come and take you away. And the last time I was there, there was about 8 of us had all gone up in our cars. And we'd all gone into the grounds, and we were all discussing on who was going to do this walk around the boundary of the house backwards 3 times. No one wanted to do it, and this is what the power of suggestion does. The fact that it's already been pre-programmed into your mind that if you walk backwards 3 times around this place, the nun's going to come and get you. A bit like standing in the mirror and saying Candyman 5 times or however many times it is, and he pops up. So, of course, automatically you've got that level of fear has already been installed. And we're all standing there contemplating on who's going to do it. And I don't know if people are familiar with the sound of a fox screaming.
Yeah.
When they make that scream, it is bone-chilling, to say the least.
Yeah, there's a couple of Tesco's, they scream near you.
Yeah. And we heard this screaming, and no word of a lie, it sounded like a woman screaming for her life. And in a situation when you've got a group of people in pitch black, a couple of people with a little torch, but not much light really being shed on the subject as such. And all of a sudden, one person bolts, and then everybody else does the same. fear gets installed. One person runs, then another. Next minute, you know, everybody's running. And we didn't stop. We ended up going through the churchyard and through the graveyard. And my girlfriend at the time was lagging behind. I went back to get her and found her sitting on the floor, clutching her ankle. And I've picked her up. Oh, come on, we got to get out of here because everybody else is leaving us behind. And when we got back to the car, she kept complaining that her ankle was boiling hot. And I said, well, you've twisted it. You know, you've obviously stood on something and your balance has gone and you've twisted your ankle. And she literally lifted up her trouser leg, pulled down the sock, and she literally, no words of a lie, she had 4 fingerprints one side of her ankle and a thumbprint on the other side. And I said to her, did you walk or run over them gravestones? She said, well, I went back the quickest way. And I went, but did you walk over the gravestones? And she went, well, I had to because it was the quickest route. So that's the reason why you tripped over. And she'd literally got this handprint around her ankle. And we've never been back since, but I've kept my eye on it to see whether anybody can get access to it. And over the years, a few people have managed to get in there, but now it's being redeveloped. It's going to be a case of what happens. Is it going to be like 30 East Drive, where a house gets built over the property and that property then becomes haunted? Because we know what building works and stuff do. Mandy has said, Mick, where are your top 3 places you would never visit yourself to investigate?
Not by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think I have any.
I mean, it's never wise to go by yourself anywhere, really, is it?
No.
But I probably wouldn't go to Hollow Trees to investigate by myself.
Really?
No.
The holly trees in Colchester freaks you out that much that you wouldn't go on your own?
Wouldn't go on my own. I'll go with a group and go off on my own. So I don't think I could.
So you're not much of a brave boy then, are you?
No.
I'm definitely going to have to try and pull some strings and see if we can get in there and do you a lone vigil in there. Then.
Quite happy to do lone vigils, but I wouldn't actually go in the building with no one else around.
Oh no! What I'm saying is, lone vigil. We'll leave you in the building on your own. We'll come outside and walk around the castle, and you can stay in there on your own.
All right, then I'm up for that. But only like basically the places I know of around Colchester, really, and where we've been before. I don't really know that many haunted locations because I haven't been doing it that long, so I can't really specifically say I won't go there, sort of thing.
I think the only place I wouldn't want to go, and that's not because I would be scared of going in there. It'd be a case of I'd be scared of not being able to get out, and that is the Paris Catacombs. You know, the Paris Catacombs is just a maze of tunnels, and I would be worried about getting lost under there. Unless I had, and apparently guides that have been there for years still get lost.
Yeah.
You know, so unless I've got an extremely long ball of string, there is no way I'd go in there.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it's one of those things.
So where else wouldn't you go?
Don't know, really. Be fair, like I say, I haven't really been to many places.
Yeah.
Wouldn't go alone to a lot of places. Half the time I can't get there. You know, not driving and that. So, but like I say, just like the Holly Trees, it's just a thought. It's all like the dolls. You know, I'm not a dolls fan, and that would just freak me out anyway.
You won't like to meet Peter Ling then.
I've watched the videos and I'm sort of like this. Oh, don't move! I don't want to see it. I'm sort of no. But yeah, like I say, I can't really give you 3 locations. I'm afraid. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Bear with me a second. So I got a sneaky suspicion my friend Richard Casey's watching, but his name's not coming up on the board there.
Well, hi, Richard, if you can see this.
Go back to Alcatraz with me. I think that'll be Richard, because I'm sure Richard's been there. But he never got the chance to investigate, so I'm sure that might be Richard. Because he did his lovely world cruise, which I'm so jealous about. Money no objects, Towers of London privately at night. I would actually, if money was no object, I think I would go to the Tower of London, because obviously at the moment that's restricted, you can't get in there. So,
no.
But yeah, if money was no object and we could, I'd love to go in there. Right, okay, so that was, go back to Alcatraz with me. So I think that was Richard. I hear foxes where I am too. I agree with you, Wayne. Then I'm off now, guys. Another great live. Speak to you soon, Nicola. When did you become interested in the paranormal? You did answer that one earlier. Facebook user, I do. Or in your group. Yep. And then, okay. What is your best human sense you have? Is it smell or sight, etc.? That was from Joe.
Right. Definitely not my smell. No. But I suppose my sight, believe it or not, even though I've got these. But I do like to. I am quite. I can sort of really see. Like we did that orb. You found that light in the red line. I'm sure I could see faces in that.
Yeah.
Really?
Just using my eyes. And I think I've sent you some pictures saying, is it me or is there faces in this? So I would say my eyes, my sight, with my glasses on, of course.
Awesome.
Okay. Right.
That's pretty cool.
So we have now. It's because Richard messaged me separately. Can you not see me? Because he's Richard. If you're still listening, if you actually sign into StreamYard. It doesn't cost to sign into StreamYard. If you just sign into StreamYard, it then connects to your Facebook, and then during our live feed, your image or your name will actually come up, so we know it's you.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. So we will know who's talking when. Yeah,
because otherwise it just comes up with the white silhouette and Facebook user. So that's why we ask, if you don't want to sign on to StreamYard, you can, if you just put your name behind it, and then we'll know who you are. But Richard has asked, what are your thoughts on orbs?
They're quite a tricky one, really, aren't they? Because whenever I thought I've seen one, or people I've watched programs and that, it just always looks like dust or insect to me. Yep. Always. I know they're supposed to be like first form of energy of manifestation or something, but I've never really thought much of them personally. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I for many years we spent so long saying it was the first manifestation of a spirit, and then with the advent of digital cameras being so much advanced to a normal film camera, technically the shutter speed is a lot quicker, and as a result of that, it created the image that we now know as skyfish. And if you Google skyfish, you will get classic examples of how fast a digital camera shutter speed is. And a lot of them are literally a bug going across the screen, but the shutter speed is that quick, you can actually see the individual wing beats as it's going across the screen. Yeah. And this is what has happened with digital cameras. They've become so advanced now that they can decipher the difference between dust or a bug or whether it's something else. And as we've said so many times before, that if it's weird colors or moving with different colors or moving in erratic fashion or not with the flow of the airstream, which it would be if it was dust, it would be flowing in airstream, because you wouldn't have 500,000 airstreams going in different directions all over the place at the same time. That would be down to depth perception. You can have a piece of dust flying that way and a piece of dust flying that way. But when you're on camera, depth perception isn't 100%. You can't tell whether there is 4 inches between my hands or 4 centimeters. So you can have an airstream here, but have an airstream going in the opposite direction in that one. So it's difficult. But you know, like we said with the red line, those 2 orbs that we saw down there, although they weren't moving in the basement, what was in those lights?
Honestly.
What was in those lights were. So
yeah, there was no doubt that there was something trying to manifest itself to us there. There was no doubt on that. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 different things going on all at once in one orb. It wasn't anything I'd ever seen before. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, Richard, if you're still looking, the StreamYard link I think is still in here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the problem is that it's on the main Facebook post
right
at the bottom. So it will come up saying, you know, we're using StreamYard, and then there is a link underneath that. Click on that and it will come up with all the options on there for you.
Yeah. Right, okay, so popped in and here Tumnal Rat had to leave, come back, and you're onto toilets. Right, StreamYard link, yeah, should be in the post, Richard. I love this. I'm going to watch you guys tomorrow as I have to go to bed. No problem.
I think that was Graham.
That's either Graham or it's Richard. Lisa. It might be Richard, because Richard's just private messaged me and said that he's going to watch the whole thing tomorrow.
Okay, brilliant. If that's you, Richard, we'll see you soon.
So what places do you have planned for the future? Anyway.
Too many. Yeah, I've got a few planned for us guys, which I'm really hoping that we'll get round to doing. We're, of course, as you guys know, we're doing Dunwich again, so we're revisiting Dunwich, which is going to be great because I didn't get to go there because, like a pleb, I decided to double book myself last time when they went there. And the lovely Mick here is going to be joining us for his first ever proper investigation with us for that, so that's going to be amazing. Then we're going to revisit the haunted flat of Watford as well, because we've got some more weird and wonderful stuff going on here. And if
I hit another fox on the way home, I ain't going to be happy. All right, I'll be sending you the bill.
Did you do that last time?
On the way home, yes, we was just coming up to Chelmsford, and it was a fox or a badger came out on the road in front of me, and I just went smacked straight into it. Didn't even see it until I'd gone past it. I saw the body tumbling across the road. Later that day, I was due down to the airport, and I was driving down the road, and I had a look, and there was no carcass or anything there. So I must have just winged it, and it's
thank God.
But
yeah, so we'll be doing that. So. I'm trying to think of some other the other places that I'm looking into at the moment, but yeah, we're definitely doing Watford again. I know that Joe Mack really loves this place because I show her a lot of the weird stuff that goes on here, and she wants us to go to all go back here, so we're going to do that. And I'm going to also investigate while we're here. We might as well together, because I know that we promised Adam, didn't we, that we'd go and see if we could find his grave, because he wanted us to find that. So we may do some investigating over at the old Rickmansworth place as well, possibly. You?
Excuse me, miss.
Yes, Wayne. You may talk now.
Rendlesham Forest.
Yep, Rendlesham Forest is one that we're looking to do as well. So we're going to be doing Rendlesham this year, hopefully.
That one is going to be our first episode relating to ufology.
ufology.
Or UAP.
Yeah, and another thing actually with cryptozoology, even though it's not really cryptozoology, because I know that you said about the whole fairy thing isn't really linked in with that yet, but when we're here, I would also love to do some looking out for what some children around here have been saying that they've sighted, which is fairies, fairy lights and fairies that have said to be coming out at night over in the fields over here. So we'll see whether we capture any of that stuff. And we've also got where the old mill used to be in the forest here as well. So we've got a lot of scope here, so that's going to be quite cool. Yeah, so we've got Rendlesham Forest as well, like Wayne said. So we'll look into that.
A lot of the issues we have is going to these locations, but at the moment, what we've been doing is we've been going to locations where we haven't had to pay, or if we've had to pay, we haven't had to pay much. Because it's all funded by ourselves. We all chip in. So if it's somewhere like Harrods Redoubt Fort, we know it's what the charge is there, and we say to each member of the team, this is how much it's going to cost us to investigate during the night and film an episode here, and we all put the money into the pot, and then we investigate it. The problem then is also we have the fact that because of COVID, a lot of places will not allow people in to investigate, whether it's to film or not.
Yeah, that's why we're doing a lot of outdoor stuff this year, because also, you know, COVID regulations, we don't really want to be seen to break anything and being on live and people getting upset by that. So if we share it out places, so
that has been difficult. And if you go to a place like Harrods Redoubt Fort, you know, a lot of these places now from May are opening up to investigations, and providing that you abide by the COVID regulations shouldn't be an issue. But again, like we say, we fund it ourselves. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find locations that are either free to go into with permission or as cheap as possible, because, you know, we're not all sort of rolling in money and can't really afford to jump out there and pay a lot of money for places. So what we're trying to do is just trying to do it for as little as possible. So like Rendlesham Forest, we just park up and we go in there and we film what we get. Dunwich, same thing. Obviously, we make the local parish know that we're coming, so it doesn't really scare the local parish that there's some strange people walking around their churchyard in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So in general, we've been keeping to places that are as cheap or free to do. Which is unfortunately what we have to do at the moment. Joe says, Mick, have you ever had a spirit attached to you?
No.
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 I have not.
Sorry. I had a spirit attached to me.
I've got hopes and dreams. Oh, no.
I've got a sneaky suspicion my cat Phantom wants to jump on the live feed. He's prowling by the side of me on my work surface.
He's like,
I'm wondering where mine is. He's usually jumping up on my lap.
Phantom right now is just like that weird person at the side of your screen, just like, hello. Oh, there he is.
Do you mind,
Phantom?
Please don't.
You're kind of in the way, buddy. And now all we can see is your bum. That's nice. All the viewers are loving this. Oh, hi, Wayne.
Hello.
Nice to have you back with us. Oh, he's beautiful, though, isn't he? Yeah. Is it a he or a she? I can't even remember.
It's a he.
It's a he.
He's our lovely cat that followed Ellen home. And as soon as she opened the door, he came running in.
One's Sparko.
And he's like, I want to stay here. We advertised him out to let everybody know that we'd found him, and we were feeding him while he was being looked after. and no one claimed him. So they turned around and said, if after 7 days no one claims him, he's yours. So he was all chipped and neutered and everything else. And he's been here ever since.
Yeah, we've actually got 5 cats now. We did just have one cat, which was Jonesy. But when our neighbour moved, the lovely man left his cat behind.
Oh, lovely.
So, she was staying sort of just hanging around our garden. So for the last 1.5 years, we've been feeding her. Sooty is her name. And 7 weeks ago, she gave us 3 little lovely bundles of joy.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, goody.
My boys. So we've got 5 cats now. They're all out in the garden at the moment, because obviously they stick by their mum for 9 weeks.
Looks like he's getting ready to lay down. Look, he's making himself comfortable.
He's like,
little Laura, ain't you, mate? Eh? But he had a thing about blokes. He wouldn't come anywhere near me when he first came here, and now he's not a problem. He's more worried of the kids.
Oh, he's got very close again. Hello. Hi, Phantom.
I think he's moving.
Cats are awesome.
I love cats.
Yeah,
especially
awesome.
My 2 are really, really good at sussing out whether there's something in the house, and I'm always like, oh God, here we go again. Oh,
no, rear view.
Yeah, we get a rear view. We get the bum shot now.
We're having a staring he's having a staring competition now. He's just staring at me. It's like I've done something wrong, eh?
So earlier, this is what mine decided to do. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just basically just ran through everything and knocked over my entire life earlier. So that was good. Thank you, Ragnar and Floki. That's what we wanted.
Our youngest one, Shadow, she helped herself to Ellen's all-day breakfast sandwich. And ate half
Sounds
of that.
about right.
Phantom here tried taking a pork pie off my plate.
Whoops.
I had some Melton Mowbray pork pies on my plate, and he snuck up and managed to actually grab hold of it with his mouth and tried to take it away. And I turned around and saw him with it hanging out of his mouth. I'm like, oh, sunshine, you ain't having that. Grabbed it and crammed it in me gob quick. I'm like, you ain't having that, sunshine. You ain't eating my pork pie. And he was like, oh, but Dad, I wanted that. I think that's probably why he's giving me the evils now.
He's like,
you stole my pork pie.
The pork pie.
Right, residual versus spiritual hauntings. Have you found both in the same? Thanks, Sam. Have you...
Sorry, I was
have you found both in the same location? In general, yes, we do. You know, it's. Oh, it was Lisa. No, it wasn't. It was Graham.
That was Graham that said about the residual versus spirit hauntings.
Yes, I in my experience, so I've come across quite a few that are actual residuals, because obviously they've been reported there on more than one occasion, and we've come across ones that haven't been there before, but they've been attached to other people.
Yeah.
And that is quite possibly because it's something to do with previous lives, or they're a member of the family that passed over and was watching over them to make sure they were fine. So yeah, I've been to quite a few where there's been both residual and spiritual. The other side of it. Ostrich in Colnbrook. No. And I've never heard of that one. Ostrich Inn. Yeah, I think I have heard of that, but never been to it. I think Joe asked that similar question before, didn't you? About the attachment.
I think so, possibly. Yeah.
Never had anything like that. No.
Oh yeah, have you ever had a spirit attached to you? Yeah, Mick, have you ever had an attachment? So yeah, Joey's had that before. Did you experience any ghostly visits as a child?
Yeah, I think we touched on that at the start, didn't we? When I was 9 or 10. Like my brother, he used to sort of come out and say, like, Nanny was sitting in the corner of the room before, and I used to feel like, like I said, I used to feel someone sitting on the bed with me when I was asleep, and I just think it was the cat. I'd try and swipe it away, there'd be nothing there. So yeah, I did have quite a few stuff like that. So.
Okay. Right. Joe then says, Mick, what's your thoughts on previous lives? And if you...
Oh, no, it went away again. Sorry, that wasn't me that time.
And if you do you know what you were in a previous life?
I'm not really into previous life stuff, to be perfectly honest. That's just me. I don't really see anything in that, because I know Wayne sort of thinks of more of it than I do.
Yeah.
But for the luck I've had in my past, if I did have a previous life, I must have been a right kid.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with previous lives, there are a lot of, if you look at most religions have an afterlife or a rebirth. Look at every single religion; it's all the same. You know, the Buddhist belief of reincarnation is quite possibly the clearest example of what all the other religions talk about. Whether you move on to paradise or heaven or hell or the next level, a spiritual plane or whatever, they all basically revolve around the same theory. And obviously, like Mick says, my system is I can't not believe in it because of the spirit that's attached to me, and quite possibly the connections that I have with World War II, my fascination with World War II. It's and the fact that I'm supposed to have died in Dunkirk in my previous life. It's, you know, I was like Mick to start off with. I never really had much of an opinion of it until I was told all these things, and I actually found them in the Hall of Records, County Hall, and actually discovered that these people that this lady had come out with out of the blue did exist. And it explained so many, it answered all the questions that I had, that I'm sort of, to this day, I'm still baffled by what came out. And I can't see why that couldn't be a case. If you look at it, it could be like a memory card. You spend, I don't know, 90 odd 100 years building memories, building emotions, building knowledge, and in one foul swoop, that memory card gets wiped and gets restarted. Just like that. Whether it's old age, heart attack, cancer, or anything, that memory card gets wiped and then it gets reloaded, starts again. A bit like the Matrix, really.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is feeling a bit like Groundhog Day now. Here we go again.
But with past life regression, there's a stamp of your previous life there. It's just that it's still floating around on that memory card. It's not completely gone. And when a lot of people have past life regression done, then it can sort of bring that previous life to the forefront, like it did with my case. And that's when you get these facts. But again, it's down to whether you believe it or not. If you don't believe in it, then that's fine. That's your choice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you can't push your belief on someone. And if Mick doesn't believe in it, then that's fine. I'm quite sure Valhalla will have a special place waiting for you.
I will look into your past life. You won't.
Well, the thing is again, Mick's been doing Viking mythology and history, haven't you, Mick?
Yeah.
And of course, even in Viking belief, they have Valhalla.
You had the seers and the psychics of the village, didn't you, in those years and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately you have Valhalla, which is the next life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Drinking.
it's
Drinking with Odin, then off to fight.
That's all part and parcel of it, you see. So ostrich inn, over 60 people murdered by the innkeepers, bed tips into vat of boiling water. Oh crumbs, that sounds like Sweeney Todd. Innkeepers,
it does, doesn't it? I was thinking that.
And bodies into River Colne that runs back to the pub. And very weird experience. Colne. You know, I'm starting to get worried now. The River Colne runs through Colchester. Oh.
You're like, oh no.
The River Colne starts at St. Osyth, between St. Osyth and Mersey Island, and runs right into Colchester and out the other side. Oh, that's worrying.
Ooh.
I'm petrified of water. I love looking at the sea, so peaceful, but can't go in it. Rivers, etc. Petrified walking near the edge. Medium, who has been Brill, told me without her knowing this, said I drowned in a previous life. And that's the thing, you see.
That's a lovely thing to know.
The thing is, though, is what then brings into question about reincarnation itself is the fact that we have a population on this planet that is increasing. People are living longer, so deaths aren't as high. Births are getting higher. So there's not a level of how many spirits there are. So there must be more people in the spirit world than there is in the living world. Hell of a lot more, because of the amount of birth, because of the birth and death ratio is changing for constantly. There's more people being born than there is people dying. So there must be more people coming back, which means there must be more people in the spirit world to keep that going. Otherwise, you're just going to have robots.
Robots. It's just robots, just lots of robots.
Well, is it a supreme being going, oh my God, there's another 4 billion people? Jesus, I'm gonna hang on a minute. Oi, Jesus, St. Peter, St. Paul, all you guys, come here quick. We need to build some more spirits to send down there because their population's going. Going through the roof.
You never know.
You know, it's one of those questions. Yeah, look, see. Even spelt it the same way as our River Colne.
Really?
Graham, are you talking about the River Colne that goes through Colchester? Because that's getting spooky now, because I've never heard of the ostrich inn in Colchester. So it must be another River Colne.
That would be weird. Another River Colne.
Ooh.
Oh no.
That's not saying there's another River Thames.
Yeah. Unless it is that one, and there is an ostrich inn. That would be weird.
Well, I've lived in Colchester all my life, and I've never heard of an ostrich inn on the River Colne.
No, Berkshire Colne.
No, there we go. Look, there's one in Berkshire. There you go. That answers that one then. That's not an ostrich inn here then.
No.
So, all's good.
Right, guys. Is there any other questions that you'd like to ask before we go? Because we have run over a little bit. Oh,
we've lost Mike.
Mike's gone. That was it. You see, I said we've run over a little bit, and he's just like, I'm out. See you later.
Yeah. Come back, Mike.
I'm just going to add him back in.
Sorry about
Mike
that.
was like, bye-bye.
Yeah, I was checking my batteries. I'm at like 15%.
Oh, yeah.
I've just kept mine on charge permanently.
Yeah, it's annoying, but yeah, you have to occasionally, don't you?
Yeah. You're currently propped up against my microwave.
I'm using my Nintendo Switch stand.
Yeah.
Which I prayed you would not settle this tonight. I said, the one night I need you to settle, and you won't do it. So if you don't settle, no Fortnite for a week. And he was asleep within 2 minutes.
That's the way to do it. Like, just like.
Yeah. Fortnite. So has anybody got any other questions that I'd like to ask Mick?
Yeah, if there's any other questions you guys want to ask Mick before we head off, because we have kind of run over by about 34 minutes now. So,
as you do.
Yeah. So if there's any other questions, get them in before we leave in about 5 minutes time. And then we will get those out. But other than
the
that,
clock is ticking.
Yeah, the clock is ticking. I'm sitting here because of everything that I've done today, because I've been on a lovely live chat with the awesome on live with the awesome Lisa earlier
you've been
today.
on live with the awesome, but it was
I can't even
remember who it was you were talking to.
I've been up since I was up at 8 this morning, and then I was doing a photo shoot until 5.
You've been foiled.
I've been foiled. Yeah, you're going to have to bring that on every single time. Every time I curses foiled again, you'll have to just literally just bring out the tin foil and be like, yeah, this is now a new TBP thing. Samantha, looking forward to everything. Wayne, you're a ledge. Mick, good luck, dude.
Why? What sort of ledge? What sort of ledge? Because
yeah, is it like is Wayne a ledge that you put things on, or
yeah, I could be a shelf.
Yeah, a shelf ledge.
Hang on.
Or a heath ledge. You could be a heath ledger. We don't know
no, I'm
yet.
not Batman. I'm not Batman.
Although you got the voice for it, to be fair. Is possession real or a byproduct? Or a byproduct? What the hell am I talking about? I am really tired tonight. A byproduct doesn't make sense. Is possession real or a byproduct of the Catholic Church? Sorry, that's from Graham.
What do you think, Mike?
I believe a spirit can sort of go into a body of someone, but I don't believe it's when everyone says, "Oh, it's a demon possession." So I believe it like you do, that demons aren't demons; they're just pissed off spirits.
Yeah, exactly. You really, really have to. I was talking about this with somebody today. You've really, really got to go some to get yourself a demonic possession. Yeah. You've got to do some seriously bad crap to get a demonic possession.
Yeah, I don't, like Mick said, I don't think there are such things. I think it's a way of words. I think demonic, not necessarily meaning a demon, but meaning nasty, and unwanted, evil, unwelcome.
Maybe has evil intent rather than actually being evil itself. Legend, if part of fusing. Okay, is that you, Lisa? Lisa, have you said that basically Wayne would be a legend if he joins us on Fusiology Productions? Is that what you're meaning now?
But I will give you a little fact. I will give you a little fact that the last time I checked, there were only 360, with permission, there was only 360 priests actually trained at doing exorcisms by the Catholic Church.
Yes, you are correct on that. That's something that I've looked up on.
And it's only the Catholic Church that are allowed to perform exorcisms. The last rites, they're the only people that technically are able to perform. And
I don't believe in them personally. I don't think they
a Catholic parish church has to get permission from the Pope or from the Vatican City before it can actually do an exorcism.
I'm coming on back. I am still here.
Obviously, there are other faiths that will do exorcisms, but as far as the Catholic faith is concerned, there's only 360 people that are permitted to do exorcisms, and they have to get permission from the Vatican City first.
Why only the Catholic Church? That's what Joe has said.
Exorcism performed.
What? Sorry?
I'm asking questions now. That's funny, isn't it? Does the person who's possessed have to be Catholic or religious for them to do an exorcism on? Like, I'm an atheist, so would they go, no, you're on
No,
your own?
I think it's anybody. If a person goes to a Catholic church or the Catholic priest and says, my daughter or my son is possessed, I need you to perform an exorcism, they will then contact the Catholic Church hierarchy and say, this person needs to be exorcised.
Help.
We need the permission. Can we have the permission to do it? They may turn around and say that once the exorcism has been done, we would like you to join the Catholic faith. It's something that would happen after the exorcism. Because one thing,
in reality, is just a really angry teenager. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just that phase of going from a 12-year-old to a 13-year-old. The problem is with a lot of faiths as well, is when they do things like a spiritual cleansing in a property and things like that. Most spiritualist churches.
That's what I was going to go into next, actually, to be fair.
Most spiritualist churches will turn around to you and say, we will come and cleanse the property. But when you return, because they don't normally allow you to go around with them when they do the cleansing. But what they do is they say to you, go away for an hour. We will stay here. We will do the cleansing. And people think that it's a load of rubbish. But a friend of mine, and Reg, who comes on here every now and then, he owns a B&B. He's got security cameras all over his B&B. And he had the same issues. And I got him onto these people that would be able to come to him, that was fairly local to him. They would come round and cleanse his property and be fine. They told him and his partner Lou to go out for a walk and come back within an hour. And they went off, and these guys went around the entire place, did the cleansing. They came back and said, right, all we ask you to do now is to remain positive. And that's the key thing, remaining positive, because it keeps the positive energy running through the place, and the negativity won't happen. And ever since then, it's been a couple of years now, but ever since then, there hasn't been anything sort of really nasty in there. It's all gone quite nicely. And I think that's all part and parcel of all of these things. But it's not just the Catholic faith. There's a lot of different faiths will do an exorcism, but the Catholic faith, it seems to have a hierarchy and an order of doing things.
Oh, doesn't it? Doesn't it just?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of house cleansing.
I'm not too keen on the Catholic Church. Ever since I found out they were responsible for whisking away a lot of German officers after the Second World War, I'm not too liking of the Catholic religion, to be honest.
No, me neither.
So why the catch? If we do this, you must do this. Isn't that manipulation? Not necessarily manipulation. It's in a sense, it's no different to a spiritualist minister coming around doing a cleansing and saying, "Be positive." They're not going to try. And
be positive. The thing is, you may be haunted, but just be happy about that.
Yeah.
Like,
the problem is you shouldn't force religion or a belief system onto another person, and spiritualists will never do that. Spiritualists will never turn around to you and say, "Well, come and cleanse your property, but you must come and join our church." You know, they're likely to turn around and say, "You've seen what this has done. Please support us."
Yeah.
And that's it. So all you've then got to do is just turn around and say, "Well, I had my house cleansed by these people, did a brilliant job," and it promotes them. So if you are in that way inclined, then you may then go to them. But in essence, it's not so much manipulation. It's just them sort of trying to sort of assist you in whatever way. But the Catholic faith is a very strict faith, and there will be catches with them.
Yeah, there always is.
There always has been.
Yeah, and there always will be.
The Catholic Church is very strict, and you have to go with their system. And if they turn around to you and say, we'll exercise your son or your daughter, but you must come to the Catholic Church or the Catholic faith, then that's their way of doing it. And yes, with that, in that sense, Joe, that is manipulation, but that's how the Catholic Church works.
Sad,
strict religions work like that.
Yeah.
Is the building you're in now, Mick, active?
No, there's nothing here at all. Except for my no, nothing.
Is it at that moment in time? It's like, and that concludes this meet the team. Because you imagine, like, there's F4 here.
Nothing, bugger all. Except when my kids are running right.
Bugger all here, and good night. No, I won't do that.
Right, I might bring one home with me one day.
Yeah, well, apparently, according to Peter Ling, I've got and Peter Foxy as well. I've got loads of kids here from from all of my photo shoots and stuff I've done over the years, and I keep bringing them back, and I didn't know. So that's
the
probably
thing
why
is
they're
as
all
well,
here.
though, Sam. You live on the site of what used to be workhouses and the mill.
Yeah, the workhouses, big time. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
They would have used children. So it is a possibility that there could have been a loss in translation, and that the children are actually there from the times of the mills and the workhouses.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we already know that we've got Sarah here, which is the sister of Adam. And we've got Chloe and another one somewhere that I've forgotten the name of. She's probably going to come out later and give me a slap for forgetting her name. But yeah. So we've got quite a few here. So we're definitely, this is why I've got some of my dragon's blood, because I'm going to need it. And yeah, so it's just all great. It's great fun here. I really enjoy it. So I'm just hoping that when we move out that they won't follow me. Because then I'm just going to be back to square one, really, aren't I? I'll be like, well, I'm still haunted, and in my new place, they're all with me.
I'd never have any problems because I've got my lanyard.
Oh God,
I'm covered.
Wayne, do you have any spirit at yours? Yes, he does. He has older. Is she an older lady, or is she sort of like mid-30s or 40s?
She's about the same age as. No, she's not. She's technically 10 years younger than me. I'm 46, so she's around 36, which is when she died.
Yeah. So her
name's Joanne. Basically, when I left living at my mum and dad's house after I left the Royal Air Force, I went back to living to my parents. In 2000, I moved to my sister's property in Colchester town centre, and things were going on there that I couldn't understand. And eventually, I got the name Joanne. I invited a psychic medium to the property. She wasn't given any information about where I was. I met her at a bus stop. She came into the property, and straight away she said, Joanne. A couple of minutes later, I had a surname, gave me all this information, and she'd said that I was her dead husband. I was serving in the British Expeditionary Force during the just before the Second World War started, and I was then involved with the evacuation of the beaches of Dunkirk, which is where my body stayed. Apparently, I died on the beaches when the Germans attacked just before the evacuation started. And all those men managed to get off the beach, only apparently I didn't. And basically, she was waiting for me to come home. Now, when I first moved in there, strange things were going on. And eventually, that was the answer. That was the reason why. I've moved twice since then, and Joanne has come with me everywhere I've gone. And I get prior notice of when she's going to be about. I start getting a jabbing pain right at the top of my neck, in the back of my head. Can't contribute to headaches because I very rarely get headaches, and when I do, they're across the front. So it's pretty weird to know she's there, but she never really causes me any problems. So it's quite handy. There's a spirit in the kitchen I need to deal with, brandy. Not whiskey or brandy. Do you know if this Joanne is in fact your guardian angel? No, she's my wife from a previous life. I do have my granddad, we think, watches over me as well, because I have been involved in many situations where technically I should have lost my life. And was it me, or was there something just floated up in front of my face when I said that? We need to look back at that. 1 hour 48 minutes.
1 hour 48 minutes. Did any of you guys see that as well? Because I did.
I think it was about 1 hour 48 minutes and 25 seconds. I think there's something literally came up in front across there.
Sorry, what was it? 1 hour 48 minutes and
25 seconds around that area.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, basically, I've had situations where I technically should have died and I haven't. And so my mum always used to say, oh, that's, you know, your granddad's been protecting you. But more recently now, I think it's more Joanne rather than my granddad. But it's all a bit weird. So, but yeah, I mean, Joanne is, you know, obviously was my wife from a previous life, as such.
Wife from a previous life.
Yeah.
I love it when it rhymes. It's great.
It's the only way that's the only way I could describe it. You know, it's my previous life. Apparently, he was killed on the beaches, and she died a year later. And in them days, when you die shortly or within a certain time frame after your partner has died, it was put down that you died of a broken heart. Yeah. And until sort of, I don't know, sort of more recently, even, you know, I mean, back in the 80s, early 90s, my nan's next door neighbours, the husband died, and then within 3 or 4 months later, she died as well. And they say, you know, oh, she died of a broken heart. Obviously, on the official documentation, it was whatever it was that actually did kill her. But in them days, could have died of a broken heart, and it would have been recorded as that. And so that's probably what they assumed it was. You probably could. I mean, you look at the Native American Indians; they just have a spirit guardian, and that's one, and that's it. But I can't see why you couldn't have more than one. I feel like there is a lot of movement above you and colours. Sam's always got something going on about that.
I've always got something. Like Louise, what am I talking about? Mandy then said, not sure if it's my eyes, but I can see a bright light behind you which moves around. Is that to me or is that to Wayne, Mandy? Joe Mack has said in previous lives that we've done that it's like almost like an old film. When I go live, it looks like it's like an old film sort of look going on above my head. So that always tends to happen when I'm on live, and I don't know whether that's them. Oh, so that was behind you, Wayne. There was a bright light behind you. That's what Mandy has seen.
Right. Well, sometimes my camera has issues focusing with that, and that's the fluorescent tube of my kitchen.
Yeah.
In there. So sometimes my camera sort of pops in and pops out. I know last live we did, my face kept getting dark and then brightening up again, and I had to keep trying to change my position. But yeah, I know at that 1 hour 48 minute mark there was a white light came up across from bottom to top across my face.
Yeah, so, I've got that written down, so then I can see whether. Yeah, it's just very weird that whenever I'm on live, this always happens every single time, and it doesn't happen any other time. I'm like in an old film right now. I could be, if I was black and white, I'd look like a freaking Charlie Chaplin film.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So anyway, we have now overrun by 52 minutes.
Yes, we have, and I feel like I'm going to crash and burn into my table tonight.
Yeah.
I will be honest.
Yeah, and I've got my kids have demanded that they walk to school tomorrow, so I've got about a 3.5-4 mile walk ahead of me in the morning. So,
good
which
time.
is good. Keeps my level of fitness up, so I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, REF won't be too happy with me if I can't do a simple little walk. So,
sort of what happened with Anna's doll. Samantha, a powerful man, makes sense. Oh, that's probably Albert. It's always Albert. Thank you all for yet another fantastic live. Yeah, you'll understand what I mean by Albert when we do our live here. We'll talk about him a little bit when we get round to that investigation that we do here. But yeah, until then, I won't tell you anything about Albert.
the movement in the background may have been Ellen.
It may have been Ellen. What is very weird, actually, guys, is it just keeps, for my end, it just keeps on freezing up. Like every sort of 10 minutes, it will just freeze for a good like 10 seconds. So yeah, it's been doing that all night. But my internet is fine, so it's nothing to do with my internet.
So anyway, I would like to thank everybody for joining us on these Meet the Team lives. Yeah. It's been great chatting with you all.
Yeah,
we are going to be planning to do a not so much cryptozoology, but a myths and legends of fairies, goblins, and elves before we do our first return to the series of live series. So we're going to be booking that in. We will keep you posted as to what day we're going to do that. But it will be similar to the ones we've done previously, where it will be like a mini documentary regards to elves, fairies, and goblins.
Oh, sorry, stuff. Max. She says no. We need more lives. I do look to do a possible live.
There'll be a couple more lives before we do the actual return to the series, but they're not going to be. There won't be any more Meet the Team lives because obviously we've gone through all of the team now.
Yeah, we've gone through all the team now. But I do look to possibly there's a couple of pieces of equipment that I'm buying in that I want to test out very soon, and I've got one of them already. So because of that, I want to test them out ready for TPP. So I may go to a possible one of our very, very local, I mean, so local that I can literally walk there in under a minute.
Out your back door.
Yeah, literally, I just walk out and I'm like, I'm here. Hello, ghosties. But yeah, it's so I'm looking to do that as well for you guys. So I'll do that through the group. I don't know when we're going to do it yet. I'll probably do it sometime next week with Mark as well in tow, which Joe will be very happy about. She seems to like Mark, which is good. It's a good sign that you like Mark. Nobody else likes Mark. Oh, that's a horrible thing to say. What a horrible thing to say about your own husband, Sam. But yeah, so that we're looking to do that as well. So I'll let you guys know when we're looking to do that live also, guys. But
just keep your eyes on the posts on Truth Beyond Paranormal, the Facebook group. And any of the live feeds that we're going to do, we'll let everybody know what's planned. But there is definitely the one about myths, legends of elves,
that's definitely happening. Goblins. So we'll set a date for that, probably next week or something, or the week after on the lead up towards the 8th. we'll get that one out there and done. And I will also get Mark on to do a live, which he will begrudgingly do with me, as he always does, and be a little moody about it, as he always is. So so we have all that to look forward to. Fabulous. So yeah, we'll let you know when that's going to happen, guys. But yeah, until then, we will sign out now, because we're now getting on for the 2-hour mark, and we will see you real soon.
Have a lovely my body's screaming for some nicotine.
Yeah. Oh, we're dead on 2 hours now. Look at us going on for 2 hours on one live feed once again. So yeah, I'm going to get off now and let these guys go to bed and have nicotine. And I will see you guys real soon. And yeah, we'll let you know about those other lives as well, guys. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.
Yeah.
Bye everyone. Bye.